When I heard the orchestra play it for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I cried. Hi, my name is Tiffany. I am a Grenadian by descent. Both of my parents are proud Grenadians. I was raised in Grenada from pre-K all the way up to secondary school. I remember when I was going to Alpha, and if you go there early enough in the morning, you can smell the ylang-ylang tree that was growing right next to the school, and it used to smell so good. When I smell ylang-ylang now, it just reminds me of a simpler time. That's one of my favorite memories in Grenada. And Rick's on a Sunday. Rick's on a Sunday. So I did my CXCs here, and then I moved to Canada, where I did the IB program. And then from there I went to Berklee College of Music, where I studied contemporary writing and production and music business management. And when I graduated, I came back here. I resumed my studio that I opened during COVID, and I make music. I am trained on the piano, classical and jazz. But in addition to that, I do more things like I arrange music, I produce music, and I also help artists who are looking to make money in music make their money. My father plays by ear, so I always grew up with him playing on the piano. But in addition to that, I went to my first music lessons here. I started out by being trained by Gillian Hobson around when I was 4 or 5, and then I moved on to Phil Beeman. I did the ABRSM exams that were held here. So music has always been involved in my life in Grenada. I'm so proud to be a Grenadian. I'm very proud of my Grenadian heritage and my life as a Grenadian. I thought that I could only thank the country that raised me the only way I could, through music, because that's how I give my ever thanks. So this is my ode to Grenada. It's very hard to distance myself from music because it's always running in my head. And this particular day, Fair Isle came to me, and being the music geek I am, I'm like, I wonder what tempo that is. Oh, it's like a waltz. I was like, oh, I'd love to do something like a Fair Isle waltz, because I have all these crazy ideas all the time, and I'm like, oh, what if I just have a whole ballroom of people dancing to Fair Isle? Groovy Monarchs semifinals. Bond song, Welcome to Spicemas, came playing, and the first lyrics of the song is, can you feel the breeze that blows from the sea to the Carnache? And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this song. It was just that. And it was like, oh, this is such a good song. This is perfect for, what I feel about when I'm on the Carnache. So then after stewing, I was like, okay, so I have this idea for a Fair Isle waltz. I have idea for, I have this very appreciative love for the song, and I want to do something for Grenada for the 50th. So I was like, well, I'm going to do a musical arrangement, because as I said, that's the only thing that I feel like I can do in order to give thanks to my country. So I sat down on my piano upstairs, the same piano that I grew up on for all these years, and I worked out a couple songs. I was like, what gives love about Grenada? And I ended up doing about 8 songs. So then I put them together, and I created a skeleton arrangement where I'm just doing melodies and chords, and I'm not even thinking about what everybody else is doing. And then I go to Chris Uriggs's play, and in one of the characters' lines, she starts to sing about brighter out of darkness, overwhelmingly glad we ought to be of our country. And I was like, I forgot about that song. I remember singing it so much. So my dad just asked me, at that same time I had that thought, my father asked me, is that in the arrangement? I said, no, but it's going to be now. So I put it in, and then built it instrument through instrument, and I developed all the layers that I wanted for the arrangement. And then once I got the score up and done, my connections to Berklee, Amparo Adobiol, who is the chair of the CWP department. And she's also quite a mentor to me, and I really appreciate all the work she has done in terms of developing my music career. At Berklee, when we were doing final projects, we had to do remote recordings. So in class with her, I asked her, what do we use? What do you use to do the remote orchestral recordings? And she sent me this orchestra that's out in Hungary. I contacted them. They said we could do this date, time. They quoted me the price. I said, great. And then we sat down on a Saturday morning, our time, and 6 o'clock evening, their time. And they went through the score. They practiced it. We got it recorded. Meanwhile, because I'm using Grenadian songs and I must do right by Grenadian artists, I'm asking everybody and controllers of estate for those who wrote the songs and they're now deceased, if I can use their song, and sending agreements and getting things distributed, doing the more business side of it while I'm waiting for the files to come back. And then my good friend's boyfriend, he's a music engineer, so I asked him, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at mixing orchestral projects? He's like, I'm a 5, but I know somebody who's a 10. So she sends me his website, and lo and behold, it's the same engineer that recorded my final project at Berklee. So I jumped on a Zoom call with him. He's originally Chinese, but he lives in the States, but he was in China at the time. We went through it, and he mixed it, and he mastered it, and it sounded absolutely wonderful. And I'm really grateful for him. So this is a truly international project, but celebrating Grenadian music. When I heard the orchestra play it for the first time, I cried. It was like, wow. And it makes you like step back and be like, I did that. We did this remotely, so I actually got to be in the session and listen to them live playing when they were recording it. And when they got to Fair Isle, I cried. I was like, oh my God, because Fair Isle, I'm about to cry again. I don't want to because I've got mascara on. But when I heard them play Fair Isle, I was like, wow, that's a song that I grew up on, my parents grew up on, my grandparents knew when it came out, and here it is being played by a 35-piece orchestra. It was amazing. I cried. I was just so happy. And for them also, when they were playing the calypso songs and the soca songs and everything, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And it shows the diversity and flexibility of our music and the medium that our music can be exported on, you know? So, because not many people would think about doing Telfree's Jab Nation with a full orchestra. So it was a very emotional, but good emotional. It was very interesting. I didn't communicate with the orchestra themselves. I communicated with the project manager, and then he would talk to the orchestra. So it's all in the same area, but also because they're Hungarian, they're speaking Hungarian. He was also my translator. So when we got to the rhythms for Welcome to Spicemas, you know, when it goes da 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 da, you know, they were playing it a little straight. So I was telling them, look, imagine you're on a beach in the Caribbean. You have the bluest waters in front of you. You're just laying back in a beach chair. Relax into it, move into it. So I told them we're lively but very relaxed people. And then their playing ability, they started to feel the music. They felt the beauty in the music, but they also felt the liveliness in the music. So that's how I was able to communicate with them. I just transported them to the Caribbean mentally. And the conductor was a plenty help. He was dancing. I really loved that. So when I was going around asking for permissions, I did send the artists the rough draft of the file, just so they knew, because when it comes down to music licensing, things like timestamps have to be considered. So, you know, I just told them, oh, your song's playing from 0 to 30, and your song's being played from 2 minutes and 15 to 3 minutes. So that's why I sent them 4. And, you know, some of them, they responded and said, oh, this is great. I think this is really beautiful. Ajama was quite impressed. The only person I showed to in person was Mr. Killa, because his part is fairly towards the front, and he was listening to the phone and he was singing along and he was jamming. So nothing as emotional as Tears Like Me, but I'm sure they felt it in a very special place in their heart. And it's going, like for me, it might kick in soon when the song is fully out there. Concerning Grenadian music on the international stage, we are sitting on a gem of music. When I go to Juve and I'm hearing all the rhythms that people are playing and the complexities of everything, I'm like, this is just so important to musical culture. Grenadian music is very important in musical culture globally, Caribbean musical culture. And, we are sitting on a gem. We're sitting on people that need to be seen and voices that need to be heard. I just hope that I'm a part of bringing Grenada forward in the music world. And what I want people to take away from the Nutmeg Suite is to reflect not only 50 years of independence, but 50 years of music. Because the oldest song is Somewhere in the Blue Caribbean Sea, which I don't know when that came out. It's considered a folk song. And the newest song is Welcome to Spicemas that came out last year. And then you have songs from the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, early 2000s. So it's showing a development of Grenadian talent and Grenadian composers, and just being able to, say we've accomplished a lot musically. We've also accomplished a lot in everyday life and globally as well.